what's up, it's Gabby. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the this or that book tag. So this tag was originally created by an On She Reads on WordPress, and I actually saw it on Hannah's Bookshelves, which is another blogger on WordPress. That is actually where I started, so I still do get on there quite often and look at other people's blogs and stuff and kind of get recommendations and a lot of stuff from that. So basically this tag is going to have a bunch of different questions that are going to make me choose between two options, this or that. So I am a really indecisive person. Like it's really bad. I'm terrible at picking what to wear, what to read next, what to eat. I'm just so indecisive. So this is already going to be hard for me. Hopefully that's going to make it fun for you guys, but we'll see. So I actually have only looked at a couple of these questions. I wanted to be more surprised by the questions and really have to think about my answers. So I just quickly looked through just to see if it was something I would be interested in doing. So let's just jump right into those questions. So I have my laptop in front of me with all the questions pulled up, and the first question is enemies to lovers or friends to lovers? Okay, so we're not starting off too hard. I love both of those tropes for sure, but I definitely think enemies to lovers is more of something I enjoy. I love enemies anyways, because usually when there are enemies, that means somebody is probably going to be a little more like a morally gray character, because, you know, two good, wholesome characters usually aren't going to be enemies. So I don't know, I've always loved the enemies to lovers a little bit more than friends to lovers, just because I like the drama that comes with it, I guess. Friends to lovers is really cute and wholesome, but it's not like, you know, they're fighting, they don't want to be together, but they do, the angst, I don't know. It just feels like there's a little bit more drama with enemies to lovers, so I would definitely have to go with that. Next up is a story told from one perspective or from multiple perspectives. So this one is kind of hard. I think I'd have to go with multiple perspectives, just because I love seeing what other people are feeling about the same situation. So if we have like an overall situation that's happening and I can get the take from a bunch of different people, I think I'd prefer that to just one person's idea of what's going on, just because everybody sees things differently. So I like the idea of seeing multiple people's thoughts on one thing. All right, next up we have series or standalone. Okay, finally a really tough one. I don't know, I've always loved big series like Throne of Glass. That's 7 books. I have always loved that. But here lately, I find myself being drawn towards standalones or really short series, just because they're easier to get through. You get the whole story kind of in one go, but this one's really tough. I think I'm gonna have to go with series, just because, you know, you get more, especially if you really fall in love with the characters and the world and the plot. You want it to go on and on, you want it to last for a longer time, so I guess I would probably go with series. But I mean, it could be something that changes day by day. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for, but series over standalones for now. Ooh, okay, so this next question's a good one. One book at a time or multiple books on the go? So for me, I'd say it's multiple books on the go now. In the past, I would read one book at a time. No more, absolutely not. But in the past year, I have started reading sometimes 3 and 4 books at one time. No, I don't ever get them confused. A lot of people ask me that. Don't you get them mixed up? Somehow I don't. I don't know how my brain works, but I don't ever get them confused, and I kind of enjoy it having an audiobook and then a physical book and an ebook. Sometimes it just depends on what I can pick up at that moment. If I'm busy doing something, an audiobook's easier, or if I'm standing somewhere waiting on something, I don't have a physical book, the ebook's easier. So it's just more for convenience, I think. But also I feel like I get more reading done that way, because having multiple books at once, yeah, I still have the same amount of time, but you know, there are some times when I can finish 2 and 3 books in one day because I've been reading those 3 books for the past week. So then it seems kind of more productive to me, and I get a little bit more the serotonin release, because, you know, when you complete a task or finish a book and you release that happiness, I get triple the happiness because I'm finishing 3 books in really close succession. So I don't know, I would definitely say multiple books on the go, but I know that is not for a lot of people, so maybe I'm a weirdo, I don't know. So far these actually haven't been that hard. I thought they would definitely be a little bit harder just because, like I said, I am really indecisive, but these are pretty easy so far. So the next one is fiction or nonfiction. This is a super easy one for me. Fiction, 100%. For me, if I wanted to read nonfiction, I would just go and watch a documentary. It's not that I don't enjoy nonfiction, but I would just rather watch a quick hour documentary than read through an entire book. Just because usually they're not as fun, you know? I mean, you're not getting the new world or the new story. It's probably something I already know a little bit about, or I wouldn't be interested in picking it up anyways. So for me, it's fiction, 100% all the way, all day. Next up is daytime reading or nighttime reading. This one is definitely the hardest one I've had yet. I don't know. I like to read at all times of the day. I like to read 24/7. If I could, I would wake up, start reading, and read nonstop all through the night. But I don't know. I guess this is another one that's kind of like, what am I in the mood for? Lately, I've been really in the mood for a book that keeps me up all night. I'm sure we've all been there where you're reading a book and it's so good. Next thing you know, it's 3 in the morning and you're finishing and you're like, what just happened? How did I get here? I've been craving something like that. I want something that's so good that I just can't put it down. So I don't know. I definitely feel like I probably get more reading done at night just because I work during the day. So nighttime is the time that I have to spend towards reading, laying in bed with an ebook, falling asleep reading, that kind of thing. So maybe I'm more on the nighttime side of things, but I do like to read 24/7. So anytime is reading time for me. So that's actually all the questions that are listed here. It does say you can add your own and whatnot. So I do think I have a few that I would like to kind of add to this. Some of them are ones that you hear all the time on stuff like this, and that is hardbacks or paperbacks. And you would think that I already had to answer this since I'm the one that come up with it, but you'd be wrong because I have no idea. I enjoy both. Paperbacks or hardbacks. Paperbacks are easier to read, but hardbacks look better on the shelves. So I don't know really which one I would prefer. No, maybe this is like a both scenario. Just because my adult romances, I love that they're in paperbacks. I love reading them in paperback form. Where with series and stuff, I think I prefer to read the hardback. So I am really not sure on this one. I made this question up and so far it's been the hardest. What is wrong with me? But yeah, I think both. Maybe. So because I love to torture myself, another one that I'm coming up with is fantasy or adult romance. This is a hard one for me, especially in the past couple years. I would used to probably always say fantasy right away. That's always been my biggest genre, my favorite. But here in the past year and a half, adult romances are definitely something I'm way into. They're so much quicker for me to read, and then you get the whole story, and it's fun, it's fast-paced, rom-coms are great. I don't know, I like the spicy romances. So this is definitely another hard one where I feel like I can't choose because I feel like I'm literally split down the middle on both. I love both so much, but if you handed me a fantasy and a romance, I don't know which one I'd pick up first. It would just depend on the mood that day. But those are definitely my two favorite genres. Give me one like fantasy or sci-fi, fantasy, romance or historical fiction, romance. I do love historical fiction, but not as much as I love the other two. So another one that, had I asked this question to myself a couple years ago, the answer would have been completely different, and that is YA or adult. I would go with adult now. I don't know if it's because now I am an adult, I'm 23 years old, and I prefer to read about people around my age. I've noticed that the YA books I've been reading recently, every time I read them, I feel like I'm seeing more flaws in them than I used to. I'm not enjoying the characters' relationships as much, and I think that's just because I'm not connecting to them the way I used to. Maybe. There's also a lot about the new YA that I just feel like, even as an adult reflecting back on my youth, I still can't connect that much to them. So I don't know if it's that the YA writing has changed a bit. At this point in time in my life, I'm definitely going to have to go with adult. I prefer the spicier romances and characters that I can relate to a little bit more. So that's all I got for this one. I hope that you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed filming it. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on these questions. So if you would like to make this video yourself, or just comment down below what you would choose between some of these options, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to talk about it, and I will see you in my next video.